I don't think the chef is there yet.
Yeah, the chef is here. She's muted.
Hi,
Oh,
guys. Hi, welcome everybody. I'm here.
no, because I went through the gallery and I saw it had her name, but I didn't see anybody there.
See Susan? No.
No, I didn't see Susan.
Maybe she's hiding.
Yeah,
Oh, you can see the names here.
There's
Hi,
a lot-
whoever's in charge, can you mute everybody, please?
okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, Rosie, mute everyone, and then we'll unmute Chef Nat, and you'll unmute me. I mean, I'm unmuted, but mute, good. Everyone, we're gonna give it 2 more minutes for more people to join, and then we're gonna start.
I don't know why it's not coming in.
Told you?
That's
Yeah, it's okay. This is 1 tablespoon. Am I unmuted? I'm unmuted?
Yeah, Nat, you're unmuted.
Oh, cool.
We're gonna give it 2 more minutes. I'm just waiting for,
Did you hear my breathing?
we didn't hear it. No, it's fine. It's all good. We're all trying to take a deep breath.
That's true. We all need a deep breath.
Exactly. Oh, my picture's not even on. You see my husband on me instead of me. Okay, hold on. Okay, everyone, I think we're gonna start. Okay, so hold on. Give me a quick second. We're gonna start by. Okay, so first of all, I want to thank before we even start, I want to thank my techie daughter, Rosie, who's managing tonight's Zoom. Rosie, spotlight yourself for a second so everybody sees you and knows who you are. So they could just say how adorable you are. There she is.
Hi.
So thank you, Rosie, for giving up your night to help us. And so I will start. First of all, good evening, ladies. It feels so good to be here together. So many people. I have 100 people that signed up. They're going to get on really soon. So we're going to say, I want to welcome 100 women strong tonight. So tonight, we're not only having a cooking demo with a fantastic chef, but we know as Jewish women, our responsibility of Passover is not only the food that we put on the table, but it's the spirit, it's the commitment that we have and the positive energy that our families are counting on us to give them. And especially during this time, during this pandemic and COVID and all that, our families need us even more. Now, our sages tell us that in the merit of the righteous women, the Jews left Egypt. Now, even in Egypt, the faith of the Jewish woman stood out and was inspirational to the entire people to strengthen and keep their faith. So tonight, we celebrate actually the Lubavitcher Rebbe's birthday, his 119th birthday. And if not for the Rebbe, Chabad would not be where it is today. Chabad would not be in every corner of the world. So thank you, Rebbe, for giving me and my family and I the opportunity to be part of your army in helping people be what they really want to be, strong, powerful Jews. So the Rebbe would always say, he would always point out that just like the Jewish women brought about the first Exodus, the Passover holiday, so too will the Jewish women of our generation bring forth the final redemption. So we are here as true representatives, and we're all leaders of our we are all Jewish women, and we're all leaders. And tonight we're going to unite, we're going to be happy, and let's make this Passover very special for our families. In honor of the Rebbe's birthday, we're going to say a chapter Tehillim. So I'm not going to share it on the screen, but it's chapter 120. If anyone has a Psalms, but I'm just going to read it out loud. Okay. Shir Hamalot El Adonai Batsarasa Li Karati Vayaneni Adonai Hatzila Nafshi Mispas Sheker Milashon Remia Ma Yitain Lecha Uma Yosif Lach Lashon Remia Chitze Gibor Shinunim Im Gachale Risamim Oya Li Kigarti Meshech Shachanti Im Ahale Kedar Rabat Shachna La Nafshi Im Sonei Shalom Ani Shalom V'chi Adaber Hima La Milchama. So, and now that we did we learned a little bit about the women and the women's role in Passover. We are, without further ado, we're going to welcome our guest tonight, Chef Nat. Chef Nat and I actually go back a very long time in our family. And Chef Natalie is an amazing baker, an amazing chef. I follow her on Facebook all the time. And my dream is to be able to cook and bake the way she does. So without further ado, let's welcome Chef Nat. And before we do that, we're going to I already made my bracha, but I'll do it again without God's name, so we can all say Elachayim together. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Borei Peri HaGafen.
Amen. I'll drink my water.
Elachayim, ladies.
L'chaim. Thank you so much, Dini.
We're all yours.
Thank you for having me. I'm so honored to be here. And what a compliment coming from Dini, considering she is a cooking and baking teacher herself and amazing at everything she does. I'm thrilled to be here tonight, and thank you all of you for joining. When Dini asked me to prepare a menu for Passover, I knew who I was dealing with, and I knew who my audience was, and there was no way I was going to teach 100 Jewish women how to make brisket or meatballs or salade cuite or les boulettes de poisson or whatever you guys are making for Passover. There's no way. You've been making it for too long. You make it too well. So I kind of wanted to reinvent Passover, and this definitely could be a Seder meal, it could be a lunch, it could be a light dinner for your family, but it's an elevated Passover meal and it's not a typical Passover meal. So I hope that you'll enjoy it. Deanie will have all the recipes. I think that if you guys have any questions, you could write them as you go. So at least I feel like I'm interacting with you. I can do a million things at the same time. I have 5 kids, I run a business. I could answer questions as I cook. And I'm going to try to impart as many tips as possible so that you could just enjoy. And if you remake the recipe at home, you could remember, oh, well, I remember Nat did that, or Nat told me to sear something this way, or whatever it is. So hopefully you could learn some tidbits of what I've learned in culinary school and in 25 years in the kitchen. I know I just aged myself, but that's what it is. All right. So the menu tonight is a beautiful Asian slaw with some grilled vegetables, so super healthy. And it's so great that we can't have rice. And I'm sure you've had enough potatoes, so I moved them aside. So we're going to do grilled vegetables and Asian slaw with a beautiful salmon teriyaki. Now you may say to yourself, why is she doing something with soy sauce? She doesn't know. Oh, she must not know that we can't have soy on Passover. She knows. So I created an alternative soy sauce that we're going to make together, and we're going to use that alternative soy sauce to build a gorgeous teriyaki sauce to make a teriyaki salmon that you'd be able to eat at a restaurant. Also for dessert, we're going to be having nothing that requires any substitute flours. We're just not going to use flour at all. We're going to make a pavlova, which is basically a beautiful meringue cake. And we're going to top it with what we normally do. We top it with heavy cream and fruit, but we're going to top it with a non-dairy substitute that's kosher for Passover that you could find at IGA. So let's do this. And again, if you have any questions, put them in the comments. My daughter Izzy's here, Deanie's there, Deanie's daughter's there. I could get the questions coming from all directions, and I'm always glad to answer them. So we're going to start with our dressing for our slaw. It's important to make the coleslaw a little bit in advance so we can
Chat is
sit.
disabled.
Pardon?
Oh, the chat.
Chat is disabled.
Okay, so you'll put, no, but it's not, hold on, Rosie.
Deanie, could you enable the chat?
Yeah, Rosie, you want to enable the chat?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Rosie, you're awesome. I
Could
have
you-
my daughter
Could you
Isabel.
spotlight Nat? Could
We
you
did,
spotlight Nat
we're-
so we see her in full screen?
Yeah, so you, Rosie.
He's
take
spotlighted. You just have to do by that like view.
it says by the view, it says either speaker or gallery. You have to put it by speaker view.
I'm on
We're
speaker
getting
view, but
both
you've
Dina and Nat at the same time. We can't get just Nat.
Oh, so.
That's
Rosie,
okay. We'll take Ema and Nat. I love that.
No, Rosie, you could take me off while Nat does her demo.
I don't know if you can because you're the host, but let's
She
keep,
is. Look.
oh yeah, you can. You're amazing. And I have my daughter Isabel filming, and she could also read comments and
Hi,
questions.
Isabel.
Okay.
Hi, I'm happy to be here. Let's get cooking.
All right.
Yes,
So
let's get it.
we're gonna start with our dressing. What I usually do when I make coleslaw is I make dressing directly in my bowl. Number one, you don't have to waste and have another jar and have another container. Number two, you don't really need coleslaw dressing for anything else. So when we're gonna make it, we're gonna use everything that we make tonight. And if you need to make it again, you just make it again. You'll have all the recipes, so don't worry about writing it down. So we have 2 tablespoons of avocado oil. That's my preferred oil these days. It's very healthy and it's very, very neutral. So it kind of subs canola oil. I have 1 tablespoon of the fake soy sauce that I created, which we're going to look at the recipe after. So that's going right in here. Everything's pre-measured in containers just to make it look like cooking show. We have 1 tablespoon of white wine vinegar. Normally we would put rice vinegar in here, so we have that Asian flair. We would also put sesame oil, but I ditched all that and we supplemented with stuff that's gonna make it just as delicious. We have maple syrup. Also, my sweetener of choice, I like honey and maple syrup instead of sugar. If you don't have maple syrup, or if you don't have honey or you don't want to use them, you're welcome to use sugar. A healthier sugar is coconut sugar. and it's delicious and it'll definitely dissolve in the dressing. I have a 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger. You could use fresh ginger. What I usually do when I use fresh ginger is I keep my ginger in the freezer and I use a microplane. I don't know if you've ever used, I have different shapes. I happen to pull and you just take your ginger frozen, you pre-peel it, and you just grate it on. It's delicious, super easy, and then you never really have to replenish your ginger because it's in the freezer peeled. And I also have 1 garlic clove. We're going to mix it directly in here. Just make a light dressing. It's just sweet enough. I noticed I did not put salt and pepper yet because I like to do that at the end, not in the dressing, but on the veggies. For most of the things that I did tonight, I decided not to do a lot of prep. So I don't bore you cutting a million things. But a lot of people have questions about cutting cabbage. I find that it's a very common question. If you notice, I cut out the heart of the cabbage and I just cut it into quarters with that white part not in here. And the white part is very chewy, the heart of the cabbage. You don't need to have it. And this makes it much easier for you to chop. You could chop it in little pieces. I like to chop it just in lines like this, and then I give it a rough chop because we don't want a coleslaw to be perfect and we don't want it to be too small. Some people like it really, really fine, like a chop. I like it like this. I like it a little meaty. Here, I have a piece of Napa cabbage. Again, you can go as big or as small for this recipe. My kids already ate dinner tonight, so I wasn't going so big, but if you're having company, which I don't think you are, but if one day we ever have people over again, you can go bigger. If not, you could make it just small for your family. And the great part about this cabbage is that even once it is chopped, you could leave it in the fridge and eat it the next day. It's not going to be soggy like a romaine lettuce. It's going to be just as delicious. You could use coriander as your herb, or you could use parsley. I like parsley because some people in my family have that coriander feeling. I'm sure if you know, you know. They don't like the feeling in their mouth. Makes them nauseous, tastes like soap. Some people have that. And then I'm going to gauge based on my dressing just how much of my cabbage I'm going to put in. I have some shredded carrots over here. We can go, and I'm going to tell you a trick. If you don't have time, and if you're busy, or if you work, or if you're just tired, I really mean it when I say, go buy yourself a bag of coleslaw. If you think you're not going to be able to use everything that you bought, buy yourself a bag of coleslaw and throw it in there, and then just make the dressing. It's one less step for you. I'm going to mix it directly into my salad, into my bowl. Remember, my dressing's at the bottom. And I want to see how much of it absorbs before I add more cabbage, because you definitely don't want it to be dry, and you don't want to have to make this dressing twice, right? So I don't know. I know I own a bakery. All I do is bake, and all I do is live around sweetness, but I'm a saltaholic. So this is my strength. This is my strength in life. It's chefing. It's not really, even though I'm a professional baker, this is what I love. This is what I love to eat. I love to eat colorful food, healthy food. I also happen to make donuts and cookies, but this to me is my jam. So you have this beautiful,
Do we get to taste this tonight as well? I mean,
you know what? I could hook you up. I have no issue. I could hook you up. Whoever wants to drive by after, I think I'm joking, I'm not. I will put this in a box for whoever wants it. I swear. My kids already ate. Here I just put some slivered almonds. You could toast them. You could not toast them. Mine happen to be sweet slivered almonds. That's happens what I have in my pantry. I made them with a little bit of sugar and I bake them, but you don't have to use sweet ones. You just use them out of a package. If you have any allergies, omit the almonds. It will not change the taste. And at this point, you could really add anything in this. You could make it as colorful or as not colorful as your family likes or as you want. And you could even put sunflower seeds. pumpkin seeds. You can add red pepper. I like it like this. I think it's beautiful, and I'm gonna set it aside.
So good.
And it's so easy. I don't know if you saw, I'm making this in real time with you guys with very basic ingredients. So it's so easy to make. So we're gonna put that slaw aside and we're gonna let it sit. You see, I didn't use all my cabbage, and I don't know if you saw, I really only used like probably 1/6 or 1/8 of both my cabbages. And I have a beautiful big bowl. And this is not, if it's lunch, that could be your main attraction. This could serve 2 or 3 people. But for the dinner tonight, it's not the main attraction. There's the grilled veggies, there's salmon. It's more than enough. You can also put it on mashed potatoes or on mashed sweet potatoes, but I didn't need to show you how to do that because you all know how to make mashed potatoes. I'm gonna try to show you things that you normally don't make or wouldn't take the time to make. So bless you. So that's our slaw. It's gonna sit there and it's gonna get better and more delicious. My next thing that I made, which because it's a cooking demo, I don't think you wanted to watch me grill vegetables, but I'm gonna show you how I made my grilled vegetables. Extremely, extremely simple. This is a Lodge cast iron pan. It goes right on top of your burners. You could put it on a pan, on a stovetop that's, you just can't put it on induction, but you could put it on a ceramic top, you could put it on an electric top. I happen to have a gas stove. I put it right on top of my gas stove. I drizzled a tiny bit of avocado oil on my vegetables, and then I put a little bit of salt and a tiny bit of pepper. You don't want to put too much pepper because pepper burns when it hits fire. So does garlic, by the way. So if you're going to season with garlic and with salt and with pepper, try to do it afterwards or mid-cooking because then it'll come out way better. So all I did was drizzled. I made sure my pan was super hot. That's the key to having non-soggy vegetables. And I made sure my vegetables were super dry. So you want to wash them, dry them extremely well, even if you have to pat them with a paper towel so that you end up with a crispy, beautiful vegetable. And I made these several hours ago and they are still absolutely gorgeous. What I would do at this point is salt and pepper. I would also add just a little bit of lemon juice. I find it intensifies the taste. And those are going to be ready to go to plate with our salmon. Again, I didn't feel that you needed to watch me flip each shiitake mushroom, but this is something that anybody could do. If you don't have a pan that has these grill marks on it, it's okay. First of all, you could get a pan like this at Walmart, and otherwise use a frying pan. It's fine. And just make sure that it's very, very hot. Drizzle your vegetables with the avocado oil, not your pan, and just sear it very gently. You won't get those beautiful grill marks, which I happen to think are attractive, but that's okay. So anything
Or they
goes.
could maybe do it in their oven if they have a electric oven with a broiler. They
Yeah,
could
of
probably
course.
do it on the broiler.
Of course, the difference between grilling on the top versus going in the oven, I love a good oven vegetable. I often throw whatever I have in the fridge in the oven. It's just that you'll get a little bit of sogginess.
Yeah.
That's the only difference. So if you're eating it yourself, do it in the oven if you want. But if you're presenting, you just want to have a nice crisp meal. And then I would just grill them, and they look really attractive. They look restaurant. It's like restaurant vibes, you know?
Or if
So
you have a grill in your house, if you have a Wolf oven that has a grill.
for
you
sure.
could do it. So,
I have a grill on my oven, and I don't know why. I
so
just
do I.
don't find it's hot enough. I
Really?
don't use my grill. I have a grill
I
on
use it
my,
every single day almost.
pardon?
It's on in my house every single day almost.
I don't find mine gets hot enough. I have a Thermidor oven,
Mhm.
and I don't know. So that's why I got that pan, and I love it. Okay, so moving right along. How are we doing on time, Deanie? We're doing good?
We're good.
Okay, so we're gonna continue. So this is my Passover soy sauce. And it's the first step that you make. Do you guys, are you okay? It's the first step that you take to be able to make your teriyaki sauce. I made mine in advance and I just keep it in a container in the fridge. And if you're making something that requires soy sauce, for instance, if for lunch during Passover, you just want to saute some vegetables in a wok or in a pan, you could put a little bit of this fake soy sauce on it. It completely takes your meal to a whole different level. It tastes like an Asian stir fry, and it's Passover, and normally you can't use soy sauce, but you will. So this is what we're gonna need. What I did for this, just so that I never gave you my back, is that I brought this from the bakery. I have a little convection top, just so that I could kind of take you with me and not, move you all over my kitchen. So the ingredients for this soy sauce are a 1/4 cup of vegetable broth. You can make the vegetable broth. You could buy the vegetable broth in a container. Whatever works for you works for me. A 1/4 cup of brown sugar. I have a 1/4 cup of red wine vinegar. And all these flavors will meld together to simulate soy sauce. A 1/4 cup of water. How are you guys doing there?
I think everyone's enjoying it. I'm enjoying it.
Amazing. 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar.
Yum.
A teaspoon of avocado oil. And some garlic powder and ground ginger. That'll give it that Asian-y type of umami taste. And then all I did was bring it to a boil. And once it came to a boil, I reduced it to about a 1/2 cup. And again, you could double this recipe. If you love soy sauce in your family, you could double, triple the recipe and just reduce it further and it'll be perfect. Or you could make it as it is if you're a small family and just need about 1 Tupperware full of it. And that's okay too. So once this brings to a boil, you'll see it'll be like a caramelly, thick, it'll be a thicker texture than soy sauce. It'll be like almost like a balsamic reduction, but not as thick. And this is the final product. It's boiled for about 10 minutes. It smells so good. Smell that, Izzy. So good.
Smells really good.
It literally smells like soy sauce and it's absolutely delicious. This is such a crazy fast pan. It's actually already coming to a boil and you'll see it comes to a boil. It'll reduce, it'll become thick. And then once you take it off, you are done. And that is your soy sauce. That soy sauce. Does anyone have any questions? That means everyone's amazing. It's, doing a Zoom, I've done a lot of these Zooms. It's so amazing. And I love the comments that follow, but during the Zoom, you have to understand that I'm literally talking to a phone. So keep the comments coming. If you have any questions, any cooking questions about anything that I'm doing, do not hesitate. So now we're gonna make the teriyaki sauce. And the teriyaki sauce turns out to be a very thick, creamy, sweet sauce that you could put on grilled chicken. You could put it on the salmon that we're making. You could even saute some vegetables in it and make a whole teriyaki vegetable. You can make broccoli and drizzle it on it. It's beyond delicious.
Esther's wondering about the shelf life of the soy sauce. How long does it last for? Does it need to be refrigerated?
Good question, Esther. Thank you. Definitely in the fridge. And I would not even put any expiration date on it. It's been boiled. It's definitely all through Passover. That's for sure. And you have nothing to worry about. There's nothing that'll turn in there. So for the teriyaki sauce, we're going to use a 1/4 cup of the soy sauce substitute, the fake soy sauce, the foy sauce. And we're going to put it right in here. I didn't realize how hot this was. I'm going to add 1 cup of water to it. Just like that. I'm also going to add some ground ginger, some garlic powder. If you like to have a chunkier sauce, some people like that like chunk or pieces, you could definitely grate some ginger or grate some garlic in it. As I had told you before, I just put in 5 tablespoons of brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of honey. I happen to like honey in teriyaki sauce, but if you want, you could also use maple syrup. I just find the honey gives it a nice delicious teriyaki restaurant vibe. So what I'm gonna do with this is I unfortunately can't just let it boil and forget about it. We're going to have to bring it to a boil, and unlike the soy sauce, we're gonna thicken it because we want it to be almost, I don't know if you know that there's a teriyaki sauce at the grocery store that you could buy. I think that's soy vey or something, like kosher teriyaki sauce. It's thicker and richer and more delicious than that, and there's no preservatives in it. There's nothing unnatural. It's all good. So how I'm gonna thicken it, if it wasn't Passover, I would thicken it with the cornstarch slurry. And I'm gonna explain to you what a slurry is. I'm sure all of you have thickened your soups and thickened any sort of sauces that you're making, or even a teriyaki sauce. But if you know how to do this, please accept my apology. If you don't, I'm here to teach you. So what you're gonna do is that you're gonna boil your sauce. And I eat with my nose. It literally smells delicious already. And then you're gonna thicken it with a potato starch slurry. So how you make a slurry, I just need one of those plastic containers, thank you. How you make a slurry is that you take a 1/4 cup of water. There was ice in this water before, so it is absolutely freezing. The ice happened to melt. And then you're going to take your potato starch and you're going to mix it in your water to form a paste. And, you know, full disclosure, I always use my finger to form the paste because I'm able to feel all the chunks and to see if I'm able to get them out. I'm using a spatula to be polite, and I'm using a spatula so I don't have to give you my back in order to wash my hands. But I will tell you, I definitely use my finger, and I recommend when you make a slurry to use your finger because very quickly your potato starch is going to start, as you could see with the spatula and with me gabbing, your potato starch is going to kind of start to clump. But I'm going to keep adding a little bit of water just to make sure that it's a slurry. But can I use my finger? Can I use
Yeah,
my
go for
I'm gonna
it.
turn around and wash my hands after, okay? I'm gonna use my finger.
This is
and
how the pros do it.
This is how the pros do it. And if you think that you go into restaurants and people don't use their fingers, you are absolutely wrong. We just wash our hands all the time.
Exactly.
Pardon?
Real chefs use their hands.
Real chefs use real hands. Real chefs do not even like gloves. So
Exactly.
when I made this before, I definitely didn't wait for the clumps to happen. I had to this time because I was chatting, but you see the clumps form very quickly, but they will completely go away as you whisk. So as the potato starch, the slurry is getting a little bit melted or watered down, all that potato starch is going to meld in. I recommend not getting it to this point. You really, really have to work it with your hands, but you know, we're improvising here, ladies, because we have to. But trust me, I made this right before. It'll melt right through. You just boil, boil, boil. Keep whisking when your slurry's in and it'll melt through. I'm gonna have someone whisk for me as I continue our next step. And you'll see it'll make absolutely gorgeous teriyaki sauce, and I will show you the final product. So Jeanette, my assistant, is gonna whisk for me so that you don't have to watch me whisk for 10 minutes because maybe I look good whisking, I don't know, but you know.
Of course.
So she's gonna whisk for me. There you go, Jeanette, thank you so much. And now we're gonna move to the salmon. This is not, I have to go wash my hands. I did exactly what I said I didn't want to do. But I've got to wash my hands. I'm
In the
really
meantime,
sorry.
let's look at this slaw again. Mmm.
It looks great.
It does look so good. I would be eating it right now behind the camera, but I don't want to disturb you all with my chewing
I just
noises.
need the cutting board.
So I'll wait until we're finished.
Okay, so does everyone know the cutting board trick? If you're working with a cutting board, take a damp cloth, put it underneath your cutting board to secure it so it doesn't go all over your counter when you're cutting because that's very dangerous, or always do that. It's the first thing that you should do. It's the first thing that they teach you in culinary school is to put a wet cloth underneath your cutting board so you get a nice steady board. So you hear the whisking is going on at the same time. What we're gonna do now, you don't need to add anymore, it's perfect, is that we're going to take our gorgeous salmon. I can give you his number, but I don't know if you guys know Ian Widman. Love the guy.
Oh, that's so funny. I just ordered my salmon for Passover from him.
He's the best. So this is a gorgeous salmon that literally came this clean and this beautiful. I'm not sponsored by him in any way, shape, or form. And trust, you can take it away. And trust me, he makes the best fish. I've been ordering from him forever. He's the best. And just so you know, this is the final product of the teriyaki sauce. Once you make your slurry and you make sure that all the potato starch dissolves, and make sure that you're putting in a paste, not the chunks like I did because I kept adding water and I was so distracted with trying to teach at the same time. But that's the teriyaki sauce at the end. And now we're going to make our fish.
How could people contact Ian to order salmon?
I'm gonna give Deanie.
I'll put his number. I'll put his number on the chat now.
Honestly, he is such a good man, and I've only gotten the best stuff from him, and I love the guy. So I told him I was doing a demo. I said, could you please deliver me salmon? And he was there a few hours later. He's the best. So now we're gonna make salmon. So there's a couple of things I want to show you about fish. Number one, fish likes water when it's in the water. Once it comes out of the water, fish does not like water. A fish in water that's already out of water becomes smelly. If you ever have a smell to your fish, it's because there's too much moisture on it, or it's because it's rotten, but that's a whole other story. But the most important, I don't know if you saw my fish, I store it on a bed of ice in a Ziploc. So I take a zip, let's say Ian delivered my fish this morning. I took a Ziploc, I filled it with ice, I put it at the bottom of a Tupperware, and then I put my fish right on top of that in a paper towel and covered it. Fish that is out of the water, which means fish that is dead, does not like to be moist. So we want it as dry as possible. And this fish is good enough to make tartare with. And that we could do another lesson on tartare later, because you can make tartare at home if you make it properly. So now we're gonna make 2 salmons. I love keeping the skin on the salmon. I find it cooks more even when the skin is on, and I kind of like that it traps the moisture in. And then when it's ready to cook, it's very, very easy to eat off of the skin. And I happen to think it looks fancier, and you'll see the way I prepare salmon. So the way I prepare salmon is that I almost always prepare it the same way, whether I'm making a salmon that is lemony or garlicky or mustardy, or I'm making a salmon that's sweet like tonight, a teriyaki. I sear it all the time because I eat with my nose and I eat with my eyes. I like things to look pretty. And if anyone who's watching this chat has had my salmon before, you know I make the best salmon. You all know. Some of your kids have eaten at my house. Some of your kids who don't even like salmon have eaten at my house, and now they love salmon. So this is what we're gonna do. Again, my favorite, avocado oil. I'm gonna put a little bit of avocado oil on my fish. If you happen to be having a dairy meal, you could add a little bit of butter or a little bit of margarine on top of that. I'm going to add some salt, and that is it. I could add a drop of pepper, but it's going to burn a little bit. But you know, it does increase the flavor. So I bought this pan. This is not a pan I normally use, but I bought this pan so I could do the demonstration for you on this cooktop. It's an induction pan, and I'm gonna put the fish flesh down on the pan. And the most important thing, I'm just gonna wash my hands again, I'm sorry.
The most important thing right now, believe it or not, is to leave the fish alone. Just don't move it, don't touch it, let it absorb the heat. And if you could look over here, this on the side, this line that's gonna go from bright orange, soon you're gonna see the light orange line is going to start lifting into the fish. That'll be your gauge about when to flip the fish. Do not get nervous, don't shake it around, listen to music, call your mother, do something other than touch the fish. I'm gonna season the back of the fish again with the avocado oil. And I told you I was a saltaholic. It's not my fault. I come by it honestly. I'm gonna season the back right over here. And I'm gonna get a gorgeous, gorgeous sear. Like I said, the most important thing you could do is leave the fish alone. As I touched it, I couldn't help it, but you have to leave it alone.
And someone wants to double check. This is on a stove top, correct? That you're cooking it?
Yes, I'm cooking it on a stove top. You can do it in a non-stick pan. My favorite that I cook with almost all the time is a cast iron pan. They're not very expensive. You just have to really know how to clean it and maintain it. And if you need any help doing that or maintaining a cast iron pan, or if you get one or thinking of getting one, it's not that difficult to maintain, and I'm happy to send you back an email. People ask me questions all the time. I answer everybody. Deanie could put my email on the link with the recipes, and I'm happy to answer all those questions. So bring on more questions while we're waiting for the fish to sear. Another gauge.
Nat, what's your email? I'll put it on the chat now.
Sure, they can email me at natstern, NATSHTERN @me.com.
Yeah, okay. me.com, right?
me.com, yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know if you guys could see, we're beginning to get some cooking action over here. If you could see, the color has changed. It's very important to look at that because you don't want to flip it too early. You want to have a gorgeous caramelization. All the extra oil that you see in the pan is the oil from the actual fish. Another way to see if your fish is cooked is to touch it. If you see it's gushy mushy, it means it's not remotely cooked. So we're gonna wait until we flip it, and I just want to show you how gorgeous coloration is. And if you notice, we did not put any teriyaki sauce in there. Deanie, there's some background.
I know, I'm trying to see who it is.
Okay.
Rosie, I think Sandy Sparkman is not muted. Yeah, good. Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna be ready to flip, mostly because we're on a time crunch, but also because I knew it would be ready. Look how gorgeous.
Oh, yum.
It's clean, it looks beautiful. And now we're gonna wait till the bottom of the skin gets crispy. What I sometimes do after I flip is, you see the natural oil of the fish and a little bit of the avocado oil comes out. I just want to baste it just a little bit. At this point, if you're having a milk pick dinner, or if you want to add margarine for flavor, you're welcome to. It doesn't need it, but you're welcome to. So this is going to cook the same amount of time as the first side, but what you're going to do probably, I mean, I could do it in real time, but I could also show you now. How are we doing on time, Deanie?
We are good. We have another 20-30 minutes. I mean, officially ends 8:30.
Okay,
but
I stick to a schedule. No, I'll be good.
So 15 minutes. You have real time.
I'll be good. I'll be good. I'm really organized with time. Another thing that I do with the fish, and honestly, if all you take away from this class is how to make proper fish for your family, you're a winner. You are a winner. I like things that have color. I like caramelization. So you could also flip your fish on the side. So it's not necessarily for cooking. This is for purely, it's for aesthetics only, because it's going to finish in the oven. So you're going to be able to cook the rest in the oven to make sure that the inside of your fish is cooked through. And all it needs in the oven is about 8 to 10 minutes max. You can even do 5 minutes. It will not be raw at all. You'll have no pink. I know a lot of people don't like to eat pink fish. I do not either. I either like it raw or fully cooked. So at this point, I'm going to add a little bit of my homemade teriyaki sauce, my no soy sauce that we made earlier. And I want you to see what's happening here. All the sugar is going to turn into a hard mass of sugar. You're going to throw that out in the pan, okay? You just want to put your teriyaki sauce on top. And now you're going to finish this off in the oven. And then we're going to add some more teriyaki sauce at the end. It's already been thickened. There's nothing that you need to do. But I just want to show you, had we cooked, a lot of people make the mistake with teriyaki, is they cook their protein with the teriyaki sauce. And if you do that, all you're going to get is a burnt mass of sugar. Sugar and heat mix extremely well, but it changes the consistency of the sugar. So you see this like gooiness. You would have had that all over your fish. You would have made a big mess. That's why we keep it on only at this point. And I'm going to finish this off in the oven and show you the final product. So look how it's literally restaurant quality, and it hasn't even been garnished yet. And again, avocado oil, a little bit of salt, and the teriyaki sauce at the end. So I'm going to put this in the oven. And oh my goodness, look what came out of the oven. Oh my goodness.
Oh, wow.
It's so fast. I have like this fast instant oven. I'm going to add a little bit more teriyaki sauce on top. And what I did is that I had all this caramelization over here from the teriyaki sauce earlier. And all I did was scoop it off with a spoon and throw it out, because you want to serve a clean, beautiful restaurant quality salmon to your family or to your guests. You do not want to serve them stuff with big clumps of burnt sugar.
2 questions.
Yeah.
First of all, what was the oven temperature at?
What a good question. So the key again is to always put your protein in a piping hot oven. What probably I hope I wrote it in the recipe, but I'm going to write it in the recipe. Your oven has to be at 400 degrees, literally the second you walk into the house and you're ready to cook. So that when you're putting either your vegetables in, if you want to put vegetables in the oven, or your fish in, or anything else, it's piping hot. You know already that your pan that you're putting in the oven is piping hot because it was on the stovetop. So you don't want to have a temperature reduction when you go into the oven. You want to keep it steady, and you also want to avoid having chewy fish. You don't want to slow cook on this. It's a fast cook, 5 to 7 minutes in a 400-degree oven.
For how long?
5 to 7 minutes, max.
Now, how would you cook a slab of fish? How would you do it with a slab?
The exact same thing. So if I had a big slab, I could put it in a big pan and sear it. Another way to cook it is to do what I would call a reverse sear. So what you would do, let's say you have a gorgeous big slab of fish that does not fit in any pan, and you want to serve it as a slab and not as slices. That's fine too, but we're going to treat it a little bit differently. We're going to season it with our avocado oil or margarine or butter or olive oil, or a mix of every one of those, or a mix of 2, and you're going to put salt and pepper on. You're going to put it in the oven in a piping hot 400-degree oven for about 10-15 minutes. After that time, you're going to remove it from the oven. You're going to check for the doneness, and remember, by touching it, you could see right away. Don't break it, don't cut it open, because you want to serve a big, beautiful piece of fish in 2023 when you're allowed to have guests again. You definitely want to serve it whole. You don't want to open it, but you'll be able to touch it, and you'll see if it's a little bit mushy to the touch, you're going to put it back in the oven for 5 more minutes max. The max it would be is 20, but depending on how big your fish is. And then you're going to take it out, pump your oven to broil, wait until it is on high broil. You have to make sure, if you have a gas oven, you have to see all your flames going, and then take your rack,
put it a little bit higher. And instead of doing what I did, I started it off as a sear, you're gonna finish it off that way. So you put your pan or your tray or whatever you're in back in the oven on a broil. You're gonna have beautiful, beautiful color on it, and then you pull it out. You have to watch it because there's a lot of oil in fish. It's gonna start to smoke, it's gonna start to heat. If you have teriyaki sauce on it, you're definitely going to have that sugar caramelizing super fast on the side of the pan. Don't worry about it. The sugar that's on the fish is gonna stay gorgeous. And then you just take it out and you have literally whatever I'm serving here, but on a big level. I'm gonna take a little bit of chives, and my chives were sitting out waiting for the demo to start, so they kind of lost their oomph, but that's okay. And we're going to season or like basically dress our fish to make sure she's gorgeous before she goes onto our plate with some chives. If it wasn't Passover, I would recommend black and white sesame seeds. On a teriyaki, it's gorgeous and beautiful. But because it's Passover, we just don't want to serve anything plain. We deserve to serve things that are gorgeous, and we deserve to eat things that are gorgeous. Doesn't mean that they're difficult or long if they're gorgeous. They could still be easy and gorgeous, you know? So now we're gonna plate our main course before we get to my favorite, which is a dessert. And don't worry, the dessert, I also have major shortcuts. I just took a beautiful slab. You could plate it individually, you could plate it completely. It depends on your guests, it depends on your time. And then I'm going to take my fish and I'm going to plate it just like this. And then I'm going to take my beautiful vegetables. And if you notice, I chose vegetables that have color, all different types of color. I made sure not to do squash and sweet potato because then there would be too much orange. I wanted to make sure my mushrooms are in both directions. And this is your gorgeous, gorgeous meal. And it's so Passover, but it doesn't scream Passover. Instead, it screams, oh my God, did I go to a restaurant for Passover? And how did I find a Passover restaurant, which made me forget that it's not Passover? So you don't need to have kugel on Passover. You can have this beautiful, beautiful dish. So that came together well. Then if you guys have any questions about the food, because I'm moving to dessert, it doesn't mean that you can't ask me questions. How do you guys like it? Deanie, how does it look?
Love it. I love
Yum,
it.
eh? If anyone's hungry, let me know. I'll give you my address. Come on over.
Oh my God, it looks so good. So up my kids' alley.
The next thing that we're gonna do is that we're gonna make a pavlova. And in order to make our pavlova, we have to make a meringue. So again, I'm not teaching 100 Jewish women how to make meringue. I'm gonna assume that you know how. But these are some tricks for meringue. Separate your eggs when they're cold. It's the easiest way to separate them. Take your yolks, put them aside, throw them out, keep them in the fridge or use them for something else. I don't know what your habits are, but that's up to you. I don't like whites in a container. I like to use real eggs. I find that it gives me a real measure and it just works for me. I separated my eggs and put them directly in my mixing bowl, put the whites in here. I separate them on a different plate. So just in case you make a mistake and there's a little bit of yolk in there, you could get it out before it goes in the bowl. If there's any shell, you could get it out before it goes in the bowl. And then I let my whites sit in the bowl until they come to room temperature. Then I beat my whites until they're nice and fluffy. And I have my sugar pre-measured on the side. And you'll see the recipe calls for 4 egg whites, 1 1/4 cups of sugar. And then afterwards, it calls for vanilla, lemon juice, and 2 teaspoons of potato starch. When it's not Passover, you could use cornstarch, but potato starch was a perfect substitute. So you make your gorgeous meringue. May I have the meringue in the bag? Oh, perfect. And the tray, the gold tray that's right there. Thank you. So you make your beautiful meringue. I clearly made my meringue before because again, that takes The thing with meringue is that you have to be patient. You have to add your sugar slowly. What I do is that I keep my container of sugar pre-measured, pre-weighed, or pre-measured, depending on, and then I scoop 1 tablespoon at a time into the whites. And I do something else. I don't watch it, because if you watch it, you're going to be tempted to dump the sugar quicker. You go slowly. And then at the very end, I do a sugar test. I put my 2 fingers in and I do this. If I feel any sugar granules, it means that I went too fast, or it means that it needs to beat more. I make sure that my meringue is glossy and gorgeous. And then at the very end, I folded in some lemon juice, some vanilla, and a little bit of potato starch. I put 2 teaspoons of potato starch, and that just ensures to have a nice even meringue for the pavlova, because pavlova is different than just making a meringue cookie. It's actually like a cake. It's like a meringue cake. So we're going to take this beautiful non-dairy topping. I already made my meringue, like I told you, because I knew we were going to be pressed for time and I wanted to give you a whole meal. I bought this at IGA. It's non-dairy, so if you're serving meat, you could serve a pavlova with it as well. We're going to beat this. It does not take very long. And while we do that, I'm going to show you how to pipe your meringue. I'm going to take my meringue and I'm going to make a beautiful circle on my tray. The recipe says to draw the circle on. You do not need to do that. All you need to do is pipe it on just like this. It could not be easier. And it could not be a more simple dessert, but it is so fancy in the end. You will feel like a chef. I take my meringue. I just make sure that it's gorgeous and uniform. I don't know if you guys have made pavlova before. Not only is it a crowd pleaser, it is so simple, and it's actually a very low fat dessert, because as you can see, there's no butter, there's no oil. It's literally sugar and egg whites. So here we go. I want to make sure that my outside has a lip, because it's going to hold some of that gorgeous cream. I hope you can hear me with the mixer in the background.
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, so we have a gorgeous circle. And that goes in the oven at 300 degrees for 1 hour. When the hour's finished, you turn off your oven, leave it in the oven, because if you shock it and take it out too quickly, it'll crack. And then after about 20 minutes, I open my oven door just a little bit to kind of gradually get it used to ambient temperature. That cream is done, by the way. I think that took like 2 minutes. So you bake it in the oven, and with the magic of our cooking show tonight, take out our beautiful meringue that is perfect. One of the tests for a meringue is to know if it's done. If it lifts, and I did that without knowing if it would lift, because I literally left it in the oven. If it lifts without sticking to the parchment, it means it's cooked perfectly. If it sticks to the parchment, if for whatever reason you're pushing to get it off, it means that it's not cooked on the inside, and it'll have that gummy, chewy texture, and it'll stick to your teeth. All you have to do is put it back in the oven. So we have our beautiful non-dairy cream. And through the magic of it's like a Today Show cooking show. You know, on the cooking segments, on the cooking shows, they have everything ready, everything pre-done. So we're going to take our non-dairy cream. Literally, I don't know if you saw, but there was absolutely nothing that went into that. You could add sugar if you like it super sweet. It doesn't even need sugar, because the meringue is so incredibly sweet. And I'm going to show you what we're going to add to it. I just cut up some berries. I have some blueberries, some strawberries, some blackberries, and some raspberries. So you just pile it on. You, again, if it's not, I didn't find 30 100% cream that was kosher for Passover. I am sure it exists, but this kind of solves your problem for having meat. So you can have this. If you're fancy, because we're fancy, you could put a little bit of mint because you want to be fancy. Even though you're not having guests, you're allowed to treat your family to a beautiful meal. Again, if you eat with your eyes, why not? And then I keep my icing sugar in a little dispenser like this. I think some people put like cocoa powder on here, or I'm not sure, but this is what I do. And I just give a beautiful sprinkle all over my cream, because again, in that cream, you could put a little bit of coffee and make it coffee flavor. In the non-dairy topper, you could also put vanilla. You could put icing sugar if you have kids that like it super sweet, but it doesn't need it. And this makes a gorgeous, gorgeous Passover dessert that will not make you feel full, that will not make you feel like you can't go to the bathroom, because I think that happens at Passover. And it'll make you feel like you had a fancy dessert, even though it's Pesach. So here's your Passover,
Hold on, I
non-Passover
gotta take pictures.
meal.
Hold on, Nat.
Yeah,
Now, yeah, I wanted to see both things. Good, beautiful. I took a picture.
I could take some pictures later and send them to you, Deanie, so that you could maybe put them,
Yes,
share them
I'll-
with
I'll
everybody.
share them. Yeah, I'll share it all on Facebook.
I'll send you pictures that I'll take. It'll probably be clearer than you taking pictures through the Zoom.
Great.
How does that look, you guys?
Delish. It looks really good. Whoever wants to unmute yourself to say something, you could say.
Natalie, it looks amazing. Amazing.
Thank you, Chef Nat.
Oh, I love being here, you guys. And I wish I could have done more, but you know, we have such a short period.
It's
But
perfect.
I
It looks delicious.
I'm making the
it's-
pavlova.
It's
Yeah,
nice to
make
see
it.
that we could make something in such a short period of time
I know,
also.
it's great. Yeah.
And also what you
I'm
could
coming
do
to
with
your house for the meringue.
Yeah.
though.
come over. I'm not scared. Also, what you could do for the pavlova, I just want to tell you, is that you could pipe smaller little spheres. So you could do a bunch of individual
yeah.
ones so that each person could get their own. Otherwise, this slices beautifully. It almost slices like a cake. So
Can you
would
use
it
cocoa
melt under
powder?
drizzled chocolate?
you could definitely drizzle chocolate on top.
Okay.
For
It
sure.
would
That
melt?
yeah, I would melt some chocolate, put a little, like about a teaspoon of oil in it, canola oil,
yeah.
just so that it's nice and smooth and you have no clumps. Melt
Yep.
it in 30-second intervals in the microwave. Put it in a Ziploc bag, or you don't even need to. You can put it in a piping bag, but you don't need to.
Doing
You
it.
just take your fork, put it in, and drizzle it on top.
Okay.
It's beautiful, and it'll elevate it. That's for sure.
Where are the recipes?
Did you get the email, Jen?
Like Jen Wolf? Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
They're in the
So it's
email.
in the email. It's in the
Yeah, I saw
first email that we sent.
Nat, can you use cocoa powder instead of potato starch for the pavlova, or it wouldn't work?
No, the potato, I would still use the potato starch because
Okay.
it definitely stabilizes the meringue. And you
Yep.
can make a chocolate meringue,
Mhm.
but I wouldn't add cocoa powder to make the
Okay.
chocolate meringue. I think I would add chocolate. Another
Okay.
thing that you could do is you could melt some chocolate. At the very end, when your meringue is made, just drizzle some pure chocolate inside, give it a small swirl, don't mix it in, and then you can make a swirled meringue.
Okay.
And then you can put the cream on it, or you could even put a chocolate pudding on it. And
Mhm.
then you can drizzle it with chocolate, and you can make a whole chocolate concoction, which is delicious.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyways, Nat, I want to thank you very, very much on behalf of all of us. I want to thank you all very much for coming on to the Zoom.
Thank you for organizing, Dina.
Pleasure,
Thank you,
pleasure,
Deanie. Thank you so much.
pleasure. And I just want to say a couple of things before we sign off. First of all, this Thursday night, if anyone is interested, we have on the same Zoom right before Passover, we have a pre-Passover for everyone just to wish a Chag Sameach to each other. So it's a 5-10 minute Zoom for everyone to wish a good Yom Tif to each other. So you can come on at 7:30, I think, on Thursday night. And then if you did not sell your chametz for Passover, You could do it through Chabad. You go on our website, www.chabadtmr.com, and you could sell your chametz. That's very important. And Nat, this food looks delicious.
Amazing.
Unbelievable.
Can I say something? I would to Dina and to Nat. I'll admit I was half here for the food, but the other half was to see you two because it's been so long and I love seeing you guys. So thank you. Chag Sameach.
Thank you for being
And I
here.
love
Chag
you all.
Sameach.
I love you all, and I can't wait to do this in real when we can all
Yes,
be
can't
together
wait.
in our beautiful shul and our beautiful hall
Amen.
together with Chef
Amen.
Nat, and
If you invite me, I will be there. I
and
promise
we
I
can
will
do
be there.
a
Amen.
live cooking class with Nat.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Sha'at Shabbat. Thank you
Thank
guys.
you
Thank
all.
you.
Stay well, everybody.
Thanks,
Be
Nat.
well.
Night.
Excellent.
Take care. And it's great to see everyone. Be well. Have a good night, everyone. Love you all.
Good night.
Good night.